a high-tech ambassador who began his way as a CEO of high-tech companies. He was CEO of NICE. Then he moved to the government. He recruited himself to work for the high-tech as Director General of the Ministry of Finance. And today he's actually integrating both hats as chairman of Israel-UK Tech Hub. He was here last year, going to talk about how you put high-tech diplomacy into action. Haim Shani.
Good evening. I know that I'm almost the last one, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. About 18 months ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu received a letter from Prime Minister David Cameron suggesting that the UK and Israel will develop special relationship in the area in the economic front, but focusing on the tech industry, which was very nice. And the Ambassador Gould has taken it, Ambassador Matthew Gould has taken it to a concrete step and established in the UK Embassy a team headed by Nomi, who is here, that is going to take this idea and making something concrete out of it. So when I retired from the Ministry of Finance, Ambassador Gould asked me if I could help the team as a non-executive chairman to set up the strategy of how you create special relationship on the economic front in the tech sector between the UK and the US. Now, and the UK and Israel, of course. The challenge is that you need to look for a benchmark. And what is the obvious benchmark? The obvious benchmark, of course, is the US. Now, there's a slight problem because in the US, you have Google and Microsoft and Intel and so on. In the UK, you don't have a very large tech company. A lot of respect to Haim, we'll meet tomorrow. But you don't have many software companies, and if there was a very successful one, I think Autonomy was the biggest. It is now part of HP, and I don't want to say anything more about that story. So the challenge is, what do you do? Now, I'm from the high-tech. I'm not as creative as the Intel engineers. I'm just an industrial engineer. So what we did was what they do in the high-tech. In more conventional jobs, you start by making analysis, strengths and weaknesses, and you look in a structured manner at the two economies, the UK economy and the Israeli economy, and you try to find synergies that are not as obvious as the special relationship between the UK and Israel. Luckily enough, with the help of many very clever people and good people that help us, we actually found areas that are relevant for cooperation between Israel and the UK. Some of them are quite obvious. The UK is the hub for decision-making in financial technology. Not only very large financial headquarters of UK or European companies are there in London, also technology decisions for American companies are being made out of London, and I know that personally because the CEO of NICE, many of the decisions on NICE globally were taken out of the UK. So in financial technology, very large powerhouse in the UK, a lot of innovation in this country, big data analysis, algorithm trading, and so on. Everyone knows the story. So this is a very natural area that one could fit and help establish relationship or increase relationship between the two economies. Another area which is extremely important, and not many people know that, but the UK is a very strong hub for creative industry, for media, for retail, for content. There are over 1,000 Israeli startups, whether they are in Rothschild or in or in Herzliya or wherever, developing products for marketing, internet research, analysis, and so on. And most of them wouldn't think of going and establishing a presence, an EMEA presence, naturally in the UK. And therefore, we think that in this specific area, there's a lot of room for cooperation between the Virgins of the world and the Tescos of the world and so on, and Israeli companies, especially on the startup area. The UK government has put a significant emphasis on e-government, and so does Israel. and collaboration on how to use technology for the help of government is relevant and important for both countries. Same goes with life science. There are very large UK pharma companies who have almost no presence and no activity in this country, while there's a lot of innovation in the biotech area, medical area, life science in general, in both the academic front and also in initial research. We felt that one of the areas that small and mid-sized Israeli companies around energy, clean tech could benefit would be the connection of the large engineering, UK engineering companies in doing projects in third world countries. So in this context, it is not only one country selling to each other, but actually collaborating jointly to design and develop solutions for other emerging markets. And last but not least, there is an important and growing trend of getting the Arab community more involved in the high-tech industry. It is important for the Israeli government, and it is a good thing to do for many reasons that all of us understand. The UK is a center that knows and has a very strong relationship with Arab countries, Gulf countries, and others, and this could be a place for collaboration between small Israeli startups, especially in the Arab sector, that could work with UK companies together to conquer jointly markets in the Middle East. So these are areas that we have identified on a high level, and as Muli said, and I don't know how to make all these shows, I'm sorry, but we need to do something tachlis. So how do you take this and do something tachlis out of it? Because strategy is very nice, but as business people or ex-business people, how do you move the needle between a very large economy and a small economy? How do you make a difference? What are the things that you actually do? And we've come up with specific programs that I don't have the time and you don't have the patience to elaborate, but I can give you just 2 or 3 small concrete examples in order to make sure that those thousands of Israeli startups will get a feel of how is it to work with UK customers and UK investors. We have created a contest, and over 150 Israeli startups have applied to this competition. We have chosen 18 Israeli startups and have taken them to London for 3 days. We have arranged the most important meeting for a customer, for a startup, it's to meet its first customer. So we've looked specifically for their potential first customer in the UK, and we have arranged meeting for their first customer and for a potential follow-on investor. In addition to that, we have taken these 18 lucky guys to Downing 10 to see what's going on in the center of the decision-making in the UK. We didn't meet the Prime Minister, but we met his personal advisor on the tech sector. And like Israelis, a few of them have been to London only for a few hours or a day or 2, but guy asked, what do you think of the UK? What is it that we should do different? And of course, 18 Israeli entrepreneurs knew exactly what are the answers. What is it that the UK can do? Luckily enough, and you know, I felt a little bit uneasy there, but I've taken the guy on the side, and luckily enough, the guy that is the personal consultant to the Prime Minister is an ex-Lehman Brothers, Barclays, that have worked with Converse and with Amdocs and with NICE, so he understands the Israeli culture very well. And he said, Chaim, you know what? I'm actually missing this direct and aggressive behavior, so don't worry, it's okay. So again, this is a concrete example. Next week, GSK is going to come with a very exciting delegation. They will meet with all the universities on specific concrete projects for development, joint development between GSK, the large pharma company, and all of or most of the Israeli relevant academia. This is again another example. The Chief Information Officer of the UK visited Israel a few months ago, and he met with the Chief Information Officer of the Israeli government, looking at specific areas where the two countries could share technology, projects, and so on. So these are just specific examples. There are more. Arup, one of the largest engineering companies in the UK, is going to host 18 Israeli startups and mid-sized companies focusing on water and energy in a few weeks' time, and so on. So these are specific examples, and I'm sure you will hear more about this activity. I would like to end my short speech. I've seen that the previous speakers have given advice on what to do, what to say. Maybe, I'm not sure if this was said already, but when you are presenting your companies in focusing on the telco industry, it is very important, and we have actually discussed it today with the British Telecom, who happens to be here and meet a number of companies, maybe including some companies that are presented here. It is very important to explain that when the Israeli high-tech industry developed, with all those lucky stars with Russian immigration and chief scientist programs, and the fact that out of the military, we happened to have the technology in semiconductor and ICT and multidiscipline, the things that we do well and is relevant for what the world needs. One of the most important vertical that emerged out of it is obviously solutions to the telco industry. And we have here an excellent ecosystem of companies that really understand the telco, the operator market. It ranges from R&D center of Cisco to small startups, to Amdocs, to Converse. So we have an excellent ecosystem that understands the full cycle. It can range from the very basics, from the infrastructure side to semiconductor to content and application. So Israel in general, so it's not just your company with a specific product, but you are coming from an environment that there is a full ecosystem that knows and understands very well, has a heritage, and also has what these organizations will need in the future. So this is very important. And last but not least, my promotion staff, Lucy, if you can, Lucy and Nomi, where are you? Lucy will be there at Barcelona next week, so she will be happy to introduce you to any of the hundreds of UK large and mid-size corporations that will be there for the matchmaking site. So thank you, and wish you well in the show.